Building out a video studio is challenging enough, let alone being in a small space and trying to get two different sets out of one room. Today I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I gave this studio space a complete overhaul to give myself two different options to shoot a corporate backdrop and a podcast setup. I'll show you all the gear and rigging I used to make this, and the complete list will be in the description below, but please stick around and see exactly how I put all this together. There's a lot of different things here, a lot of details you need to see. Let's get into it. This studio space actually belongs to one of my clients, a ministry based out of South Florida that I manage content for. And this studio space we have had for several years now. We've been tweaking it and adding different things to it, making it work for what we need. But we just got to a point where we're needing more options. We're wanting to do more podcasts, sit-down content, along with our normal stand-up content with a teleprompter and our colored backdrops. The room is pretty small. I would say it's about 10 by 18 as far as the actual usable studio space. But over time, it was starting to get cluttered with light stands and stands and all these stand legs that were just getting in the way. People were tripping over them. I was tripping over them. And it was just time to update it and make it that much better and more efficient. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this was not something that I rushed into. This was not me just going on Amazon, throwing a bunch of stuff in the cart and saying, hey, we've got what we need. This is a project that I took a lot of time to plan. I did lots of research online, on YouTube, different articles, just trying to see what people do in these types of situations. The original idea was basically building a lighting grid or a grid that would be hanging from the ceiling, suspended, that all the lights and everything could hang from that grid, get cables up high, and basically everything off of the floor. So that's where the original concept started from, and it obviously morphed and grew and adjusted along the way, but that's kind of where the original idea began. And one pro tip here right off the bat is make sure you have lots of Velcro tape on hand. I think I used about 45 feet of Velcro tape for cable management. It's just a massive lifesaver, but make sure you have a lot of it on hand. The first step in this makeover process was putting up these nice walnut stained wood slat wall panels. These are floor to ceiling sheets that go up against your wall. And what I love about these is they look really nice, they look really sharp, but they also act as sound dampening panels. And the back is actually basically a 1/4 to 1/2 inch felt. And so it takes in any sound, any echo, but also looks really nice at the same time. And I want to say a huge thanks to my good friend Wes Peterson, who's actually the PR director for this ministry. He just took this part right off my plate and actually put all these wall panels up, screwed them in, measured, cut. He's an amazing guy and did a really great job putting all this together, and it just looked so nice. You can hardly tell where the seams are, the screws. It is just really nicely done, so thanks Wes for taking that off my plate. This wall space took about 6 boxes of these wall panels of this specific kind, and it was almost the perfect amount to go from end to end. While Wes was putting up the wall panels, I went ahead and started setting up the Vari poles. If you don't know what these are, they are incredible game changers for small studio spaces. Basically, they are Vari poles, and so they go from floor to ceiling. You get it as tight as you can, and you lock the handle into place, and it keeps it very, very tight. They are so handy to clean up tripod stands. You can fasten your light to it, your camera to it. And so I took 4 poles on each corner of my studio space, because this is where my lighting grid was going to hang from. Now, I want to give you an important note here. Make sure you have those poles as tight as you can. We had to adjust some of the tightening nuts with a wrench to get it extremely tight, pushing up against the ceiling. Make sure you don't hurt your ceiling. You don't want to push through the drywall. At the end of the Vari poles are like rubber pads that go on that grip to your ceiling into your floor. But we got it very, very tight so that we could hang our lighting grid from it. Be very mindful of the weight that these poles can hold. I felt like I was right about at a safe limit because I was using 4 poles to share the weight of this grid. But you do want to be careful because you don't want to put like 200 pounds because it's probably going to eventually fall and it's not going to hold it. So be mindful of that, but in this situation, these Vari poles were incredible to use for this. Once we knew we had the poles tight, I actually put safety cables pinned on top of the poles' feet that the lighting grid would be able to just safely be secured by. That way the grid wouldn't fall down. It was at least held up by those Vari poles. That's hoping that the Vari poles don't fall down, but so far they haven't. So far they're still extremely tight from the floor to the ceiling, but this is something I decided to try to do just to put any accidents at bay. The next step was to take these newer super clamps. These clamps are extremely heavy duty, they're versatile, and the reason I went with them is because you can fasten them together so that you can have two different clamps facing two different directions, which is what I did. And then I attached them to the very poles because these are what is going to hold up the conduit or the lighting grid. Now that I had the super clamps up in place, it was time to measure the exact length I needed for the metal conduit. This is what my grid was going to be made out of. I actually got this from Home Depot. It is 1 1/4 inch metal conduit. Another shout out to my good friend Steve Horde for picking this up. He was already making a trip to Home Depot for some other supplies and he was able to pick it up for me. So that's why I don't have any footage of me going to get it, because I didn't go get it. So thanks Steve for picking the conduit up. I appreciate it. I got the longest conduit I could from Home Depot, which was 10 feet, and all 4 sides of my grid were going to be longer than that. So I knew I was going to have to connect them together. So I also got these metal couplings from Home Depot that were fitted to the 1 1/4 inch pipe. And so I cut down the pipes that I needed, attached the couplings to it, attached the pipes together. These couplings are really strong. You screw them into the pipe itself and they're not going anywhere. For the cross poles, I went with these conduit clamps because I can connect them together and then they hang from the long poles. It's just a super easy way to have your cross poles hanging from your grid. They're secure, they're strong, but they're also lightweight. Now that the grid was built out, it was time to get the lights up and figure out my cable management and light placement. This actually took me a little more time than I anticipated, but I kind of realized I needed to know exactly where these lights were going to go because it would be hard to change it if I got everything all set up and then had to change my mind. Ultimately, I decided to go with my key light on the left side. This would be a key light for my corporate backdrop, as well as be a key and a fill light for the podcast setup. I decided to put the next LED panel on camera right. This would be a fill light for my corporate setup, as well as a hair light and a little bit of a fill light for the podcast setup. The third light, the second LED panel, was going to go on the back right corner, and this would be a hair light for the podcast setup as well as a hair light for the corporate setup. So I'm trying to multi-use these lights based on the location. I don't have a lot of space to put lights, and so I need the lights to do multiple jobs at one time basically. The fourth light was my other key light, which is going to run on separate power, and this is not for the corporate setup and strictly just as a key light for the podcast setup. This will be off camera left, back a little closer to the paper backdrop because it's a fill light and a key light for the podcast setup. This light actually was going to run off separate power, and what I did to make it as easy as possible is I ran my main key light, my 2 LED panels, onto one remote controlled power source, and then I ran my other key light through another remote controlled power source. That way I can come in, flip 2 different switches and power them on as needed because they don't all need to be on at the same time. I know this is a lot of details and it's a lot of words, but I'm just talking out my thought process to show you kind of where I came from for it, and also to help you think through your process if you're trying to do something similar. Just try to make it as efficient as you can so that you're not having 10 million lights. You can have multiple lights do different things and you can control them separately to meet your needs. To hold these lights up, I use a combination of these newer heavy duty clamps along with some of these small rig clamps, just some really handy clamps for some of these different options. And again, I use that handy Velcro tape to make sure everything is managed and the cables are tucked away as much as possible. One important note with the remote controlled portion is I know a lot of lights these days come with remotes, and if that works for you, great. I just didn't want like 4 or 5 different remotes to have to fumble with. I wanted like 1 to 2 buttons max that would control everything. So I got these basically just $15 remote controlled outlets or plugs off of Amazon. And one important thing with that is get 2 different brands. That way the frequencies don't mix. And so one setup is basically for 3 lights, and then the other control is for 1 light. That way all I got to do is walk in and hit 2 different remotes and I can control the lights that I need. The last thing I did for the lighting was actually put up 1 RGB party light on either side. We'd actually already been using these to give a nice glow behind our subject on the paper backdrop for our corporate look. This just gives a nice glow behind them and helps them stand out from the backdrop. So I fastened those lights up on either side of the paper backdrop. These have their own remotes, which is probably what I will use for these. Hey, if you made it this far into the video, please consider subscribing. This channel's all about filmmaking and helping others grow and learn, and I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and you should be part of this community. So hit subscribe, join the community. Let's get back to the video. I wanted the podcast setup to look stylish, clean, modern, kind of minimal, kind of that Scandinavian decor vibe. And I knew the wall panels were a great start. I really loved the accent that already gave to the look. but I wanted the chairs and everything else to have kind of an equal level of class. So I went with these brown leather chairs off Amazon, and they're fantastic chairs, super sturdy, worked well, had an enormously annoying amount of foam and tape wrapped around the arms. I felt like half the setup was me just unwrapping tape and foam from these chairs. And yes, as much as I just wanted to start building it out, I did read the instructions first. And then I added a small end table that would go between the two chairs. This setup will primarily be 2 people, but we did get an entire third setup in case we have a third person that needs to be a part of a podcast, but it will be primarily 2 people. As with any setup, adding a little bit of green is always a nice touch, and so I got 2 nice green plants that will be on either side of the main 2 chairs for the podcast. A nice little extra spice that I did for this setup that is not necessarily necessary, but I thought it would look cool, was I took 2 of the Elonzi RGB light wands. They're about 2 feet long. I set it to the warmest Kelvin possible, and they'll just sit on the floor and give a nice warm glow up the wall. And this to me is just a nice accent light and just helps it look that much more styled. All right, let's talk audio. This was a whole nother important aspect of this entire setup because we have 2 different setups. We have one corporate and one podcast setup. Starting with the corporate backdrop, this is where I have 2 overhead shotgun mics. I think they're the NTG4. And I used to have one on each side of that setup, both overhead on a C-stand. But now because of the podcast setup on one side, I had to put both C-stands on the left side with the boom poles. Originally, I'd hoped and tried to see if I could hang these from the grid with different clamps and C-stand arms, but it was just too much weight that it would just make the arm swing back and the pole to dip down into frame. So it just wasn't going to work. And ultimately, I needed something that could give me varied height because sometimes I have short people and tall people that I'm filming for this corporate setup. So I just went back to the C-stands, put them really close together, and put both the boom poles with the shotgun mics on those. And it works just as good, and I think it's the best option still, even though it's not hanging from the grid. It still works really well because they're stable and they're also height adjustable. I'm using 2 different audio recorders for this setup. For the podcast setup, I'm using the Tascam DR70D, mainly because that one can take up to 4 XLR channels. For the corporate backdrop, I'm using the Tascam 60D Mark II. I attach the recorders to a small rig clamp that goes on the vari-pole, and then I attach the recorders together. Both these recorders are running off wall power, and so I ran those cables down, plugged those in. That way I don't have to worry about battery issues, and I can also control them right at an arm's length because they're just going to live right on the vari-pole. For the podcast mics, I'm using the Shure SM7B mics, and the audio quality from these mics is just unmatched. It's just so good. Now, to help the gain level on these mics, you have to have a cloud lifter. So I got a cloud lifter for each chair. Basically, will sit on the floor, and you run an XLR from your Shure SM7B to the cloud lifter, and from the cloud lifter all the way to the audio recorder. Pro tip for these SM7Bs, as I actually got these off eBay for like $100. Brand new, they're $300 to $400. So check eBay, you'll find plenty of good options for like $100. When you're running this many XLR cables for audio, is tape the ends with different colors. That way you know exactly which one's which. So when you see blue plugged into your audio recorder, you can look and you can find, oh, there's the blue tape on the other end by that mic. Just kind of helps give you a frame of reference for who's using which mic and where it's actually at. That way you're not having to like trace XLR cables. You just know where it's at based on the color of the tape. All right, my final thoughts here. A couple key takeaways from this whole setup. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but be very careful of the amount of weight you put on the vari-pole. Kind of know the amount of weight your lights are going to be and the conduit or whatever you're going to hang. For added safety, you could always screw in an eye bolt into the joist, into your ceiling, run a safety cable through that as well, just for your lighting grid to be safe. I love the vari-pole option because it's quick and it's tight and it is very secure. But it's technically not faceted into the ceiling. So you have that variable for the vari-pole in there. So just be very careful of the amount of weight, know how much weight you're going to be hanging, and try to get those poles as tight as you can. Putting together a setup like this is not cheap. And that's kind of given, because to get these kinds of wall panels and all these rigging, all these pieces, you're gonna have to spend some money. So you just need to make sure that you are putting your time into the research and your planning. It's like playing with Legos, like just for filmmaking stuff. So you just want to make sure you have all the right pieces before you begin. So I'm glad that I did take the time to really try to put in the research for this. And so do your research, figure out exactly how you're going to do it before you begin. As I mentioned earlier, I'd searched all over YouTube. I just couldn't find anything to exactly answer my question. And so I basically took stuff I'd seen on YouTube, my own ideas, and I just kind of mashed them together and built out this studio space. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. There's obviously always a better way to do something, so let me know in the comments if there's something that comes to your mind that I should have done differently. I'm always open to learn, hear your thoughts as well. But the complete gear list, every piece of item, everything I use is down in the description. Check it out. I hope it's helpful for you as you work on your own studio space. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. If you guys want to see a budget-friendly live stream setup, step-by-step, complete setup that I did, check it out right here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.